Well, the Alberta budget aims to balance the books by 2023, but that goal is being viewed as optimistic at best. Gerard Lampow gets reaction on the government's 2018 fiscal measures.
To go from 9.1 projected for this year to 8.8 billion deficit, that really isn't showing a whole lot of spending receipts. So no, D-.
Starke's comments on Alberta's 2018 budget are echoed by the Canadian Federation of Independent Business.
92% of Alberta businesses going into this thought that the Alberta government did not have a vision for how to enhance the business environment. And we were hoping that we would see something within this budget that would put that framework forward, but unfortunately this budget is now based on a lot of forecasts. We have to have a pipeline going through to balance.
Oil is averaging about $60, but royalties are down 24% as there's a widening of the light-heavy oil price differential.
And the projections that they've given, again, are pretty optimistic. They've projected a $59 a barrel West Texas International price, which is probably reasonable based on the forecast they've received. But they're only projecting a $22 differential.
The differential has been closer to $30, so Starke concludes the budget is optimistic. Ruddy says entrepreneurs would like to see small business taxes lowered as the carbon tax is going up.
Through that climate leadership plan that they put forward, there was a small business tax cut a couple of years ago when the carbon tax was first introduced. But unfortunately, what they're doing now is taking the money and putting it into general revenue in a few years, and we don't think that that's the best approach.
On the agriculture side, some $11.5 million per year is in place for ag societies for the next 3 years. The budget for ag is about $1.1 billion, but producers are hamstrung by the rail companies' inability to move grain.
Without a doubt, they had a backlog, and they're not denying that. So they are making some improvements. My understanding, they're making improvements in hiring staff, in purchasing new equipment. That'll take some time, to get new locomotives.
Carl Ayer is just back from the Pulses conclave in India, but there's no timeline to removing the Indian tariffs. The minister is anticipating the new Canadian Agriculture Partnership.
So in Alberta, that's a $46.6 million part of our budget as that starts to ramp up, and that will start kicking in on April 1st. Looking forward to those programs. It's been very successful in Alberta over the past 4 years from the old program of injecting about $406 million into agriculture.
Ag producers have also been plagued by rural crime. The budget is beefing up the RCMP and supporting more Crown prosecutors. Starke says the problem is uneven caseloads.
We're in the St. Paul district. We're served by the Crown prosecutors out of the St. Paul office. They average over 2,000 case files each. In Edmonton, each Crown prosecutor averages about 800 case files.
Gerard Lampow, Newcap News.
Well, the Regional Business Accelerator is known for helping new businesses network and function properly. Now they are rebranding their model. Ryan Craig reports.
The RBA has made the change to be a part of Startup Canada.
So it's just a rebrand. We're just changing our name. None of our services are changing. We're still going to offer the same great services to our entrepreneurs. They can come in and get business supports to either launch their business, grow it, really whatever they're needing.
Startup Canada has over 50 communities from coast to coast, helping represent more than 200,000 entrepreneurs.
It's going to help connect us to a nationwide network. We're really connected with local and regional businesses and entrepreneur sports as well as supports across Alberta. So we've got those great connections. So this just adds another one to our network, which is not going to hurt at all.
The event gave one local author a chance to launch his new book, one that ties in quite nicely with the theme of the day.
This is the book that I've written to help train leaders to be effective leaders.
31 Essential Principles of Leadership has individual tips, but also touches on how one can improve their business by doing simple things.
If you are a business owner, for example, the way you treat those who work for you will determine your profitability. If you treat them well, they'll give in 100%.
Startup Lloyd is located at the Community Services Building. Ryan Craig, Newcap News.
And amendments to the 2012 traffic bylaw were discussed by City Council this week. The bylaw was in need of a rewrite, in part for bicycle requirements, a dangerous goods route, and updates to playground zones. There were also updates to a number of fines, including the use of engine retarder brakes within city limits. A second offense in less than a year would cost $1,000.
They can't use their Jake brakes driving through the city. And, you know, there's residential areas adjacent to hotels along the highway, so that we need to send a message that way.
Several council members expressed concern over a number of fines being reduced, such as parking next to a fire hydrant.
If you're parking in front of a fire hydrant, that's not a great place to be parking, and we want to try and deter that completely. And the best way is by having a high enough fine.
Administration is now working on changes based on the feedback from council. Well, the annual Lloydminster Showcase is back at the exhibition grounds this weekend. More than 150 exhibitors are on site Friday through Sunday in an event that should bring in between 13,000 to 14,000 people. The Outdoorsman stage features sessions from hosts of Wild TV, and the DIY stage has renovation ideas, tips, and more.
We have a full encompassing lifestyle leisure type of show this year. It's excellent. There's lots of things to see, and it'll take you a while to get through.
Many of the vendors who've traveled to Lloydminster have been a part of the show for years.
We've got a good clientele built up both in the retail and the wholesale end, and so we come down to touch base and say hi to everybody and get spring going.
There's some concern over weather affecting turnout, but it could also benefit numbers concerning those in the city.
They've got nothing else to do, so they come in and see the show, or they don't want to be traveling on the highways going anywhere else.
Showcase ends at 5 p.m. on Sunday. Well, the annual showcase event is underway at the Lloyd, as we just mentioned, and the local Girl Guides have a special strawberry tea and social planned this weekend. Heather Clagus has the details in this week's edition of What's Happening.
This weekend is a busy weekend. It's showcase weekend on at the Lloyd X grounds. Everything you need for home, garden, sports, and leisure all under one roof. And they've got a couple different stages with some great special guests this year. On the Outdoorsman stage, one of the presenters is going to be Jordan Walsh of Wild TV, talking about hunting and different hunting experiences. They also have the DIY stage, and one of the guests on that will be Cindy McNabb, a restoration expert. So it's going to be a really busy weekend out here at the Lloyd X. Tomorrow it runs from 10 until 7, and then Sunday from 11 until 5. Let's all go down to Dumas Walker. The Vic Juba Community Theatre. Coming up Tuesday night, the Kentucky Headhunters going to be in town singing some of your favorite songs like Oh Lonesome Me, Walk Softly on This Heart of Mine, and more great hits. You can still get tickets for this show. You can go online, vicjubatheatre.ca, or stop by the box office. Whether you're already dreaming of being out on the lake and you're looking for music for the boat, or whether you need music to work by, we want you to win a copy of Jan Arden's brand new album, These Are the Days. Some great new music from a really talented Canadian singer-songwriter. We want you to win a copy. All you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontests@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the music. And the Lloydminster Girl Guides are hosting their strawberry tea and bake sale tomorrow afternoon at St. John's Anglican Church Hall. Things will run from 2 until 4. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Clagus, and that's what's happening.
This is Newcap Weather with Gerard Lampow.
Welcome back, everyone. So system is pushing out of Saskatchewan as we speak there, and the last bit of it is still prompting some snowfall warnings for that southeast corner, but those will be lifted off eventually, and the winds have eased off in our area. So let's see what we're dealing with for the next 24 hours going through the weekend as we put this into motion there. And the system is, well, it's pushing out of the center of it, at least, pushing out of Alberta and into Saskatchewan there, and the remnants of that precipitation as well going with it as we head on on through the next 24 hours. The cold front will slide through Saturday evening, overnight into Sunday morning. There still some areas of precipitation available, so we'll leave it at about a 30% chance thereabouts. Temperature-wise, going into tomorrow, +1s around our neck of the woods. 3s are available for parts of the Lakeland region. 1 if your travels might be taking you out to Edmonton. 2 around Provost and Macklin areas. For towns off to the northeast, Isle Across at 4, Green Lake and Pierceland there. Well, Green Lake at 5, Pierceland at 3, 4 in Meadow Lake, 1 in St. Walburg and Maidstone, and 2 for North Battleford. The Battleford's an area. As we head across the country, 7 and variably overcast in Vancouver, -5, mainly clear skies in Whitehorse, Edmonton at +4, and the sun is out there as well. So +4 and sunshine. Yep, it's definitely pushed out of Alberta. Snow showers in Yellowknife for -11. Snow showers still in Regina for -1. The effects of it, though, pushing on into Winnipeg. We're increasing cloud cover for their +3. Heading to Toronto now, mainly clear evening on the way for 0. Overcast in Quebec, also at 0. -1 and cloudy in Halifax, and +1 in St. John's. Overcast there too, and some ice crystals in Iqaluit for -26. So back to the prairies, cloudy skies in the Battlefords for +1, -7 towards the early hours of the morning, winds southeast, and the wind gusts slowly easing off as the evening goes there. And then +2 tomorrow. Could pick up some showers around the Battlefords and area during the course of the day. Southwest winds anywhere from 10, 15, pushing a gust or 2 anywhere from 26 to about 30 kilometers per hour. 1 light snow showers around parts of Cold Lake and the Lakeland region, and winds are south at about 13 kilometers per hour. -6 on the overnights. We'll see some clearer areas become available, and looking for 3 during the course of the day. Winds west to support that, anywhere from 10 to about 20 kilometers per hour. For ourselves, variably overcast. The sun still peering out at intervals there, sitting at 1 at the moment. -5 overnight, mainly cloudy, so some of the cloud cover will be sticking around, and we're aiming for 1 tomorrow. Overcast day it will be too. Winds west and northwest anywhere from 10, 15, pushing towards 20 kilometers per hour. So for the next 7 days, the average is 3 for daytime highs there. Closest we get to that will be 2 on Tuesday. A mix of freezing rain and snow possible at that point. And as we told you before, the cold front sliding through overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. So you see the temperature cooling off to a -8. And the next chance for some serious snow showers, still too far away to say with certainty, but a 40% chance next Friday there. The daytime high of -6. Brian, back to you for agriculture news.
Well, demand for the second book was already mounting, even as the ink was still drying on the first one. Gerard Lampow tells us about the launch of Farm Wives 2.
The local farmers market at the Service Communiplex presented the backdrop for the launch of Farm Wives 2. The new book explores issues facing a younger demographic of women, both from across the country and here in our region.
As my kids are getting older and wanting to go away to university and college, I've found that I'm not going to be able to do all of this by myself. And I learned that early on, actually. And so with some fantastic help from friends, I've been able to step back and transition the farm so that it works for me.
Rebecca King farms about 1,000 acres of grain south of Kitscoty. Her husband passed away 3 years ago. She muses that plowing snow by herself is one of her biggest challenges. These women don't shy away from the hot-button topics like the grain backlog.
Definitely knowing when payments are due and trying to budget and make sure that there's money in the bank for when those payments are coming through, because sometimes we can't sell grain when we need to.
Laura Waterfield and her family farm 3,000 acres of grain west of Kitscoty, and they also run a commercial greenhouse. She says life is much busier now compared to when she grew up on the farm in rural Saskatchewan, especially with getting her kids to various activities.
Definitely nowadays the modern farm wife is a lot different than in the past with our mothers and grandmothers. You don't necessarily have to be a woman who's working 95% of your time on the farm.
Farm Wives 2 is the labor of love from Billie Jean Miller, who is thankful for the community support.
We're at a time when we can expect different things for ourselves now. And that means in terms of land ownership, home ownership, different kinds of things that happen in terms of, lining ourselves up for the future.
Miller says 50 years ago, women weren't worried about things like succession planning, but these women remain committed to the future of farming.
I do want to stress how important agriculture is to me, every aspect of agriculture, and that's why I'm working hard to be able to stay out there and teach my girls the importance of it all.
Gerard Lampau, Newcap News.